Hey guys, it's John. So here at 21CD, you can expect random little drops. Just little food for thought episodes that are shorter than the full-length episodes that just give you something to take with you throughout the day. And these topics that I discuss in these food for thought episodes are just going to be briefly touched on. You can think about them all you want and formulate your own ideas, and it's completely possible that in future episodes we will elaborate on the topics touched in these food for thought episodes, but they're not meant to give you a full overview of anything specifically. They're just touching on interesting topics and things that I've thought about that you might be interested in. So today we're going to talk about a few of those topics relating to our modern dystopian era and supernatural and spiritual sightings. And one thing that I want to make abundantly clear real quick is I do believe that the times that one lives in are directly linked to the type of sightings that are occurring in those times. So I think if you trace it back through history, you can see that various sightings of various cryptids, supernatural, and paranormal entities coincide with what's going on in the world at those times. And I believe that a lot of that can be proven. So like there's a wave that if cryptid sightings and paranormal sightings and whatnot, if you look at it as a wave, that wave kind of rides along with what sort of tragedies are going on in the world at the time, what is happening in the world at the time in general, whether it's good or bad. I feel like during those times you see different types of cryptids and that this can be kind of proven. And so today we're going to go over a couple of things like that relating to that topic and this modern dystopian era. I hope I'm making sense. I've barely had my morning coffee, so I'm still waking up upstairs. But I believe that there's a strong link now in this modern dystopian era. I believe there's a strong link between this time and the type of cryptids that people are seeing these days, the type of paranormal and supernatural entities. And I apologize if I'm not staring deep into your soul this entire video. I can't memorize a bajillion words, and unfortunately I have to look at my phone so that I can see what I've written. But as soon as I develop the ability to memorize a bajillion words, I will spend more time looking into your souls. I just want you to know it's not that I don't think you're beautiful or anything like that. I just have to be able to read what I've written. So let's talk about the wealth gap. And for those that aren't entirely sure what the wealth gap is and has only heard it mentioned on major news outlets and whatnot, the wealth gap is when the rich get richer while the poor are getting poorer. It's essentially the gap of wealth between the rich and the poor. And it's at an all-time high, which means the rich are getting richer than they've ever been and the poor are getting poorer than they've ever been. And we are going in opposite directions. So sometimes you could say, well, the rich are getting richer, and even though the poor are still poor, they are getting richer still. But in this case, that's not the situation. In this case, the rich are getting way rich and the poor are getting way poor. So how does that relate to sightings, you might ask, of paranormal or supernatural or spiritual entities? I believe when the poor are oppressed, there is an increased amount of, when any kind of oppression, though, and it's not just the poor getting oppressed, when there is massive amounts of oppression, you can expect various types of sightings, including types of sightings of creatures that thrive on this sort of the people being oppressed, but not really knowing that they're oppressed. So it's kind of like these people have accepted the poor, in this case, let's talk about the poor, or the lower class, the people who are just getting by but think that it's normal. When they're getting oppressed, what you have is this environment where nobody's really expecting anything to get better. Everybody knows it's bad, and it's just like, oh well. I think you can then expect an increased sightings in more demonic entities and entities that thrive on people being under oppression, with nowhere to go and no hope whatsoever. I think that is when entities of a more demonic or evil nature tend to come out, because they know that people are just already oppressed and they're already hurting and they're already suffering. And so, what the heck? This is where evil runs rampant, and that's why you might see sightings of demons and Nephilim, fallen angels, and potentially Dogman, depending on whose accounts you're listening to. Some people believe that Dogman is actually an evil entity and not just, some random cryptid, that he actually has ties to the Nephilim and whatnot. I think these are times that you could expect to see more sightings of those types of beings. Nephilim, of course, are a big one because they are basically the soldiers of the fallen angels, and they date back to the times of Moses, of course, when you can see them being basically eradicated from the Holy Land or the Promised Land, and ever since they've still been here. But the thing is, they can't be. They're not really killable. They keep coming back. We don't know why they keep coming back, but I believe that we will see increased sightings of them and their creatures in these times of oppression, especially relating to money, because money is the root of all evil, and evil tends to go where the money is. Therefore, fallen angels, Nephilim, money brings power, money brings corruption, and when people who are driven by money are in power, you have a very bad situation where evil can run rampant. The environmental apocalypse is also one that is very interesting to me, because as we look at these wildfires in Canada, I think it would be interesting to do a study on what kind of cryptids are being being seen out there right now. As the forests burn, it's important to remember that even though the burning of trees is a great tragedy, of course, the forests are home to many, many creatures, and those creatures are all basically just burning to death in the forests. And we do and can trace sightings, and there's many legends and tall tales and even Disney movies about these spiritual entities that come out when a natural environment is being absolutely destroyed. And Canada is home to many cryptids, and a lot of them are pretty crazy and pretty wild, and that's just due to the vast amount of nature in Canada, untouched nature that is now being destroyed. So I think it would be interesting to do sort of a study on whether people are seeing things coming out of those Canadian forests, fleeing, or if they're not, and if those beings that lived there knew that something was happening and moved on beforehand, or what. But there's also the idea that the fire is causing so much energy to be released into the atmosphere. Where's that energy going? Is it opening portals? Like, what exactly is the byproduct of all this energy being released into the atmosphere? And what can we expect to see in the realm of those Canadian fires in relation to the sightings and the energy release? Now, another thing is, and I'm going to read this because I wrote this and I just thought it was so good, but it probably isn't. But I'll give it to you straight. Humans have always pondered the meaning of life since the beginning of basically time. Probably not with Adam and Eve, but very soon after them, humans began developing this fascination with the meaning of life and what it's all about. I don't want to say that the fascination is the greatest that it's ever been, that we've been focusing on it more than ever, but it's definitely reached heights that most modern men can say that they've personally never seen before. With the dependency on AI and the fascination with cloning and creating artificial life and artificial meat and things of that nature, you can only imagine where they're trying to take it next as man becomes closer and closer to being able to create life via artificial means, via mechanical means, via programmable means. You have to ask yourself how the meaning of life will change for those who are wealthy enough, powerful enough, and strong enough to truly research such things and to develop such answers, and to therefore develop propaganda on such matters. I believe this will open the door for more dangerous creature sightings. I think portals will become an increased thing in the near future. I truly believe that we will begin to see more and more portals opening up in the most random of locations, everything from urban to deep in the woods. I believe that now is the age of portals, and portals will soon come, and in droves. I think there will be increased sightings. And I believe that topics will increase relating to the sightings of angels and Nephilim and demons. These immortal creatures cannot be destroyed by humans, and thus that's why we've been seeing them and hearing about them since forever. They're mentioned in many ancient texts across all the world and all religious texts of all religions. And I think that those sightings, they've been less in the recent past, but they will become more in the near future. And this is largely due to them being emboldened to venture further out due to the presence of great evil. I don't believe that Bigfoot, for instance, and Dogman are simply creatures living in the woods that we've just simply never found before. There must be something more to them. You'll also notice, as we've already kind of mentioned, that we've had an increase in alien sightings and UFOs, and you have to ask yourself, why now? Is it possible that these aliens are not actually beings from another planet, but are the byproducts of Nephilim experiments, of fallen angel genetic engineering? Or is that just what they look like in one of their forms? We have to ask ourselves why the government is now pushing this alien agenda when before we were ridiculed for even thinking that aliens could possibly exist. Now, why do they want to normalize aliens? We have to ask ourselves this. And I think that this is largely because there is some kind of power to these aliens, and I'm not entirely sure that they're just obsessed with our water or using us for farming or whatever all these theories for aliens are. I think there is something evil to aliens, and I think we should be very cautious when we're researching them. Especially when you think about them using Enochian languages and taking reptilian forms and things like that. I really think that there's something menacing about aliens that goes beyond they want to take over the planet and they're coming from some faraway place with some super advanced technology. Even though those things may be true, why? I think it is inherently an evil reason, relating probably to maybe to the Nephilim, fallen angels, and just satanic things. Obviously, this is just an idea. This isn't something that I can prove, and this is still a theory that I'm developing. But I thought I'd bring it to you because that's what these episodes are all about, food for thought. So whether you believe in Satan or the devil or not, make up your own mind about whether or not these aliens could be a tool of just evil. Because even if you don't believe in Satan and the devil and you're not religious, you can still believe in evil. We see it happening all the time. And whether you believe it's the governmental elite that are basically using them for some kind of means or not is that's also a topic for discussion. But why, you have to ask, were we ridiculed before and now we're not? Now they want us to accept them. Now they want us to experience them, and they want to even help us. And they push all these documents out so that we can see them. And all the videos are all over TikTok, and we're supposed to just thrive off of these aliens. And it's only in the very recent years that presidents started really being like, they are here, they are among us. And why? What's going on with aliens? And that's my food for thought episode today. This has been a 15-minute long episode. I hope you guys enjoy it. I'm sorry I stumbled over my words a little bit, but like I said, I woke up literally 16 minutes ago because I had these thoughts in my head and I wanted to bring them to you. So now I'm going to go drink more coffee and get ready for my day job, and I will see you guys very soon on the next full-length episode. This has been John from the 21CD podcast, and I will see you later.